Our universities are for learning. Learning about the world, our people, and sometimes about ourselves and others. In the bustling halls of Stanford University, two sophomore roommates, Quentin and Remy, were as different as night and day. Quentin, a towering African-American man with a physique that spoke volumes about his dedication to athletics, was the life of the party. His charm and good looks made him the envy of many, and he had a never-ending stream of dates. Remy, on the other hand, was a short, delicate Caucasian man with blonde shoulder-length hair and a penchant for quiet nights in. Despite their differences, the two became fast friends, finding solace and understanding in each other's company. Remy had always felt a sense of disconnect from his own body, a yearning to express himself in a way that felt authentic. When Quentin would go on his dates, Remy would often indulge in his secret passion, cross-dressing. He would spend hours in front of the mirror, transforming himself into a woman, feeling a sense of freedom and self-expression that he couldn't find elsewhere. One fateful evening, Quentin returned home earlier than expected from a date. As he walked into their dorm room, he was met with a sight that took him aback. Remy was dressed in a beautiful, tight, off-the-shoulder dark green evening gown, with a slit running up the left leg that was a hint of sex. He was practicing his makeup in the mirror. For a moment, Quentin was speechless, but instead of the anger or confusion he might have felt, he was filled with a strange sense of admiration and curiosity. "Remy," Quentin finally said, his voice gentle. "You look stunning." Remy turned, his eyes wide with surprise and a hint of fear. "Quentin, I can't explain." Quentin raised a hand, stopping him. "You don't need to explain. You look beautiful, and that's all that matters." Remy let out a sigh of relief, a small smile playing on his lips. "Thank you, Quentin. That means a lot. Now you're sure you're not mad or anything, you sure?" "Why would I be mad? I just never knew and it was kind of a shock. When I first saw you I thought you were real a girl." Blushing at the compliment, Remy said, "I thought you had a date with that new girl, what's her name?" "Amara," said Quentin. "Yeah, I did, but it only lasted for about an hour before I ended it and called her an Uber. She's beautiful, but I couldn't stand the way that she talked about other people and the way that she acted. You know that she called a waitress that accidentally dropped a glass a clumsy bitch. Everyone heard her and stared at us. Then when the poor girl was trying to clean it up she kept calling her names until she started crying and ran off. That was it. I called her ride and told her I never wanted to see her again." Quentin stepped back and said, "Hey, you look sick in that. Turn around, let me take a good look at you." Remy stepped back and spun around with his arms at his side and hands out. Quentin, looking at his roommate, thought that if I didn't know better I could have been living with a girl dressed as a boy. Remy then asked, "So you haven't eaten yet?" "I was going to call for a pizza, how does that sound to you?" Quentin replied, "Yeah, that sounds great, you know what kind I like." Quentin, watching Remy call for the pizza and noticing his mannerisms and the way that he moved, was trying to get his head around the fact that this beautiful delicate blonde flower was really his male roommate. Then a lot blanks were filled in. They ate the pizza washed down with some iced Polly Girl beer. As they ate they talked about the finals coming up, the games that Quentin was going to play in, and who was hooking up with who. The two spent the evening watching TV, Remy still dressed in his evening gown. Quentin gave in to Remy's suggestion of a trans movie about two friends growing up with one transitioning, and they fell in love with each other. As the night wore on, the atmosphere between them shifted, becoming more intimate and charged. Remy, feeling more confident, decided to express his feelings. At the end of the movie they were both laughing at a scene in the movie when the actors went skinny dipping. Remy used this human expression and leaned over and kissed Quentin, a soft, tentative kiss that quickly deepened. Quentin, caught off guard but not displeased, kissed him back with equal passion. The movie ended and credits rolled. Suggestions were displayed for the next movie, but Quentin and Remy wasn't paying any attention. For an erotic interlude the roommates were exploring each other's lips, tongues, and any place where their mouths landed. Remy's hands became active, feeling Quentin's muscles in his back, shoulders, arms, and his growing member. Feeling his man muscle growing, he knew that his stroking was causing this real man to become aroused. Quentin was responding as well, hugging Remy and moving his head with his large hand entangled in his thick blonde hair. Remy, emboldened by Quentin's response, decided to take things further. He slowly unzipped Quentin's pants, his hands trembling slightly. Quentin, his breath hitching, let Remy take the lead. Remy's touch was gentle and exploratory, and he soon had Quentin fully aroused. He leaned down, taking Quentin into his mouth, his movements slow and deliberate. Quentin moaned, his hands finding their way into Remy's hair, guiding him. Remy knew that Quentin was massive in size, but having him in his hands, feeling the veins along the hard enlarged shaft, and the weight was a sensory overload. Taking him into his mouth involved kissing the head, licking up and down the shaft, massaging his full balls. And the taste and musky aroma of his manhood. Quentin pulled Remy up, his eyes filled with desire. "Remy, I want you. I want to be inside you." Remy nodded, a mixture of nervousness and anticipation in his eyes. Quentin led him to the bed, his movements slow and gentle. He undressed Remy carefully, his hands exploring every inch of Remy's body. Remy shivered under his touch, his breath coming in short gasps. Quentin reached for the lube, his hands slick as he prepared Remy. He took his time, ensuring Remy was ready and comfortable. Remy mounted the bed on his hands and knees, reaching back, spreading his cheeks, awaiting his new lover's huge member. He first felt the tip of the head and then the pressure as he was pushing forward. Stretching to allow his entry, he thought he wouldn't be able to handle his assault until the head popped in. Remy felt the length as Quentin pushed forward for what seemed to just go on and on. When he pulled back, the experience was that of having his bussy pulled out before being pushed forward again. Remy experienced this twice more until his brown starfish relaxed and welcomed the pleasure of his prostrate. The two moved together, their bodies in sync, their breaths mingling. Quentin's thrusts grew more urgent, his grip on Remy's hips tightening, pulling Remy back as he pushed forward as hard as he could, burying himself deep inside the tiny body. Remy met each thrust with a moan, his body trembling with pleasure. Pulling out of Remy very quickly and without warning, Quentin turned him over and pushed his legs back where Remy grabbed them and holding them apart and out of the way for his lover. Face to face was so much better for the both of them. Quentin thought that Remy was so beautiful, laying before him with his long blonde hair spread like a halo surrounding a beautiful face, and Remy seeing the strength in the man that was taking his body. The hoarseness in the breathing signaled the oncoming climax, and Remy grabbed Quentin's neck, begging for him to come in his mouth. Remy didn't have to wait long as Quentin pulled out and holding a handful of gold aimed at an open waiting mouth. Glob after glob filled Remy's mouth until there was a chance of spilling, which was dispelled by a quick swallow. Remy took the large head in his mouth, sucking his lover dry. In the aftermath, they lay entwined, their bodies still trembling with the aftershocks of their passion. Remy looked up at Quentin, his eyes filled with a newfound confidence and happiness. "I love you, Quentin." Quentin smiled, his thumb brushing a lock of hair from Remy's forehead. "I love you too, Remy. Always." From that night on, their relationship blossomed. Remy began to transition, embracing his true self with Quentin's unwavering support. Remy questioned Quentin, asking, "Hey, lover, are you sure? You going to be able to deal with all the bexing?" Quentin, who had always been open-minded, assured Remy that nobody was going to say shit unless they fancied not breathing. As they navigated the challenges of college life and their evolving relationship, Quentin and Remy found solace and strength in each other. Their love, born out of an unexpected encounter, grew into something beautiful and enduring. They proved that sometimes, the most unexpected paths lead to the most profound and fulfilling journeys.